And welcome in, everybody. Out of the Park Baseball 24. This is Judge Metal TV. Philadelphia Phillies 2025 season spring training edition. Finally putting the wraps on spring training. We're going to talk today about how the team did overall. We'll run through the roster. We'll make our final two cuts. Down to 28 players right now. Need to get down to 26. I thought we'd do the final two in this video just to show you how difficult the cut down was this year for the Phillies. We're going to go through the lineup. We'll set that up. If you can see the screen, if you're not just listening, if you can see the screen, you can actually see the basic lineup versus right-handers on the screen in front of you. We'll go through the logic behind that, what we're thinking there. We'll also talk about the rotation. As of right now, you see it's still got 6 guys in it. We're going to remove one of them. We'll tell you where he's going. You can see below that also the bullpen. Some impressive numbers down there from the spring training. One of those guys is going to have to go. And we'll figure out who that is coming up as well. We'll also run through the NL East. You can look over to the left-hand side of the screen. You can see the standings for the NL East in spring training this year. And that'll segue nicely into the first thing we want to talk about, which is the team overall this spring. Outstanding spring, 18-6-4. We tend to do that. We tend to play very well in spring. I used to play through all of the games, believe it or not, even the spring training ones. I would often play like the first 5 or 6 innings and then sim the end or something like that. But yeah, I was really nervous about how the AI would handle the rosters and would we have JT Realmuto out there catching in the 9th inning of a spring training game or something like that. So this year I did a little different. I simmed through quite a few. I played probably I might have played maybe 6 to 8 of these games just so I could try a few things, make sure some players got some time at positions, because this is a good chance to get a guy into a position, say someone like Alec Baum, who plays first base but doesn't play it much. So you can get him out there and get him some innings at first base, and that helps out with his ratings, because you never know, later on down the road you might need to make that switch, something like that. Or a Rojas, keep his left field ratings up even though he's going to play center field most of the time. All right, well, let's talk. Like I said, 18-6-4. Really, that was built around pitching. The goal for the offseason was to get better defense to help out this pitching. Biggest loss this offseason was Zach Wheeler. Actually, maybe we'll take a look at that too. We'll look at the rankings on spring training. The game does it by WAR. Who gained the most, who lost the most, so they evaluate your offseason that way. We'll take a quick peek at that as well, actually. Let's see if we can find that real quick. Offseason. Man, I forget where that is. Well, anyway, let's move on. I forget where that is. Maybe we'll do that later if I can remember where to find it. All right, so spring training, team overall again, 18-6-4. Really good. We probably had 26, maybe more pitchers in camp. Like I did a lot of the cut downs. I did the obvious ones first, last few days of spring training, and then got it down to where I couldn't do it anymore without making it difficult. So you can look, Edouard Segovia made the jump from high A, where he pitched pretty well, but I kept getting trade offers for this guy, and I looked at him a little closer because I kept getting trade offers. And on his card, if you look at it, he is on his ratings, excuse me, he's ready to go. He wanted to make the jump, confident he could do it. When you look into the morale and the expectations and all that stuff, he wanted the chance. So I thought, well, what the heck? We lost Zach Wheeler. We've got 1 or 2 opening spots in the rotation, depending on how it goes. This was before we had made the trade for Sixto Sanchez. So there was potentially 2 spots in the starting rotation. So we thought, all right, Segovia will get in there, and Brandon Pfaadt will get in there, and we'll throw them through and see who wins, see who outpitches the other. Well, they both pitched really well. So that's going to be a tough decision right there. But let's start with the lineup. Let's start with that. Let's keep in order of how we want to do this. We're going to cut 2 pitchers because we're down to basically our bench is Campo, Hayward, Stott, and Austin Nola. We're gonna keep Austin Nola. That's going to cost us $1.5 million if he makes the major league roster. He's signed to a minor league contract, but I think his leadership will probably come into play. Plus, he can play a ton of positions. He's not great. Decent first baseman, not a great catcher, not great at any of these positions, but in a pinch, if we're going to run an extra pitcher. So having a guy like him, in addition to someone like Stott, who can play a lot of positions, should help us out a lot. Plus, he's not a terrible bat. For a backup catcher, give JT the day off every, 5th day or whatever, however we're going to do it this year. He's going to get some hits. Not going to lead the league in hitting, but between this leadership and an effective bat playing multiple positions, so we decided to keep Nola as a backup catcher, kind of utility guy. Bryson Stott, been a starter. We started at shortstop 2 years ago. Most of the season did not hit for average. I know the real Bryson Stott in real life just has blossomed and is a very, very good player. The offense hasn't come around in this league, in this universe for us. He shows a little bit of power, some pop in the bat. He can be a clutch hitter at times, but 237 last year, and that's his best season. 306 on base percentage, 16 homers. I would trade those homers for a 350 on base percentage, but that's not him. Left-handed bat off the bench, can play second, third, short. I probably should have put him at first sometime this spring just to get him a rating there, because he probably would handle that well. He could cover the whole infield for us. But he's going to be our main utility guy this year. And then Hayward, the ownership wanted a Gold Glove added to the team. This guy's won a Gold Glove. He's won a few of them, actually. You can see there 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, 2012. All of them at right field. 2010 he was a National League All-Star. Not the player he once was, but still can get in the lineup. He's another lefty. Can come in, play a very good center field, play a very good outfield in general. So he's going to be actually doing some platooning with Rojas. His expectation is in the starting lineup. Hopefully that doesn't become a problem down the line, because Rojas is going to get most of the time. But he can play center, he can play left, he can play right. So we should be able to get him in there and get him in against right-handers, because he's just a bit more effective against right-handers. And that should help boost his numbers some. That is basically Alex Campo. Alex Campo is green because he is going to be somewhat in a platoon with Bryce Harper. And if you have not been watching the previous videos, I'll explain what that is all about in a second. But very good defensive first baseman, plays the corners, played center for this team for half a season. He did okay. He wasn't great, never quite developed into the center fielder we thought he might. We expected his bat was going to be a little better. He just didn't really develop as a hitter. I considered sending him down to AAA. You can see here his numbers against lefties is much better than his numbers against righties are. Someone who we thought was going to be an everyday potentially like number 3 hitter on this team, but it just did not happen. The league thinks a little higher of him than our scout does, but you know, it's what he's played to. He's played like a 47 player. You can look last year, just 223, 14 homers, had a lot of playing time, 540 plate appearances. This is really going to be more or less his last chance. This is his season to show that he belongs in the major leagues with the Phillies. But hit 196 in spring training, so not great. We'll see. We will see. Let's start with the top of the lineup. We'll go against, it's basically the same lineup against righties and lefties. Otto Lopez, we're going to have him lead off since he's our most consistent contact guy. He's probably our most consistent on-base percentage. So we'll put him up at the top of the lineup and let him go. I did play around with Rojas at the top of the lineup through spring training. We get to Rojas later. I'll explain why I decided not to go that way. Rhys Hoskins, for now, I'm going to have him in here hitting second. Against lefties, I love it. Against righties, well, Hoskins really, his splits aren't in the game. The ratings for his splits aren't really that much different. So he's going to be a guy, you know, we all know Rhys Hoskins. He's going to hit 30 home runs plus, and he's going to walk a lot. He's going to strike out a lot. So, and he's not going to steal too many bases. So he's not your typical number 2 guy. He's not a contact guy, but he's going to have Schwarber behind him against righties, and he'll have Nick Castellanos third against left-handers. We're just going to flip Schwarber and Castellanos. I'm going to get out of the Schwarber at the top of the lineup thing because the team's power, overall, the team's power has dropped. Harper, not the player he used to be. Baum, we'll get to him in a bit, but the people who you typically think of in this team who are going to rake 30 home runs, 25 to 30 home runs, probably won't, but we'll see. So anyway, right-handers, we'll have Schwarber. I just wanted to get him down in a spot where he can drive in some runs. I wanted to get some people on ahead of him. So I'm thinking Lopez is a good on-base guy. Hoskins behind him, so that'll put a little pressure on them to pitch to Hoskins. But if they want to walk him, fine, because that'll have Schwarber up with 1 or 2 guys on base, right? Castellanos behind that to clean things up. He's probably actually is our best contact guy. Lopez is really good. Hit 281 for the Phillies last year. What did he hit in spring training? He hit 328, 396 on base percentage. So, yeah, I mean, it's close, but Castellanos will be there. He should be in plenty of position to get RBIs. JT behind him, you might be thinking, why not JT second? I like JT down where he can knock in some runs. I don't do a lot of running with Schwarber and Castellanos there. That's another reason why Rojas is down in the lineup. So, you know, why not try to set these guys up with guys who are going to get on base but aren't necessarily going to run that much. So JT down here at 5th. Harper will be behind him. I guess I haven't been clicking on these guys so you can get a look at where they are ratings-wise. There's Lopez's overall just above average. His defense dropped, and that really hurts. He was a 55, which isn't much difference, but I like seeing those green defenders out on the field. Hoskins, there you see the gap power, the home run power, the discipline. Low on contact, low on avoid strikeouts. But, you know, I explained why I want to try him there. Schwarber, just raw power. Should have one of those 2 guys on more than a few times. And 4th, Nick Castellanos. Overall, our best hitter. He's DHing. Not a great runner, but this is what we're paying him for right here. And JT, you could argue JT's the best player on the team. Oh, wow, they upped his leadership. That's awesome. That changed. That was not there before, and I always thought that was something that was lacking in JT's ratings was his leadership. So, all right, so 77 overall, but you see the contact, the power. You can still run a little bit, but he's our catcher. That's what we mainly want him to do. And here you see Bryce Harper. If you've not been following, you're looking at this and you're like, wow, what happened to Bryce Harper? Well, a year and a half ago, roughly, had an injury that had him out for, I want to say, around 2 months. Ever since he came back from that, ratings were just dropped. Has not been effective, really. Just 204 last year, 21 home runs. That was 591 plate appearances, so he started 130 some games. 23, 257, 33. Not a great season for a Bryce Harper, but man, we'd take that right now. And then you see the 279, 51 homer performance in 22. But that was his last big season. The last two have been bad. Injuries, I believe in both of them. He actually had an off-season incident on Christmas Eve where he electrocuted himself to work in his basement. This is an email I get in the game. Rushed to the hospital. According to the email, he nearly died from it. So Bryce Harper not having much luck. And at 32, it looks like the best days are behind him. So hence what you're getting in this lineup. You got Bryce Harper's in the lineup against right-handers. Alex Campo is going to get a shot against lefties, and we'll see who does better. Whoever is playing better is going to get the most of the playing time in right field. That's just how we're going to play that. Johan Rojas has developed very well. I am looking forward to playing this guy 150 some games. We're going to have him in the lineup every day we can. That flat, he's got great speed, excellent base stealer. Last year stole, I believe, 34 of 36, 35 attempts, something like that. He was very, very good. Would be a really, really good corner outfielder. I need a center fielder. I don't know why. He plays center field. I don't know why this is never developing. But yeah, solid contact, solid gap power. The home runs are there. He's hit in the past, not for high average, not great on base percentage, which is one of the reasons why he's not near the top. Oh, there, 33 stolen bases. Caught stealing once. But yeah, it doesn't walk a lot. But these ratings have improved, so we'll see how that goes this season. And 390 plate appearances, so that wasn't quite a full season, really. I mean, 23 homers. He shows a ton of power, 15 doubles. So you could see that in the 20s. You could see this potentially at 30 homers. So here we go. We got a center fielder that can steal bases and hits for power. We just really need him to work on improving right here. But that's why I want to hit him down in the lineup. I don't want to put him up in the top. I want to let him run. And if I have him down here, 7th, he can run in front of Alec Bohm. Looking at Bohm, really solid guy. We started this series with the Phillies in the 2020. Oh man, what year? Would it have been early the 2022 season? So we played this. We brought this in from the out of the park 23, and it's one of the reasons why Alec Bohm is not really that good. But he did hit 287 last year with 24 homers. So he did perform last year. He played well at the plate and was consistent all year. 85 RBIs. He hit down in the lineup most of the time. So even though this is not great, and even if you look at the ratings, it's not like he's great against lefties and not righties. It's a little better. But last year he put up the numbers, so I'm going to stick with him. If he should fail, and he did hit 220 in spring training, but we have Jonathan Guzman, I sent down to AAA, and he's a guy that we either need to find him a spot or move him this year because he's 26, 27 years old. He's ready. He's ready to play. Think of him as like Charlie Hayes, where he's going to hit, back in the day, Charlie Hayes, if you're a Phillies fan, would hit 25 plus homers maybe, but only hit like 230. He's kind of that offensive player, but really good defensive third baseman. He can play second base. He could probably actually play shortstop too. If he play first. Yeah, I've toyed with keeping him up, but I want him to get at bats every day. So he went down to AAA. But if Alec falters or plays like these ratings, I have another option at third base, and he's actually a very good defensive player. Our biggest acquisition into this lineup in the offseason was Jose Iglesias. We covered this trade in a previous video, but he came to us from the Cubs, $11.5 million a year for 2 more years. 2 more seasons. 35 years old, but we went for him because he was the best combination of very good defense and potentially some good offense here. Not a great hitter, not a leadoff hitter, or anything like that. We're going to hit this guy down in the lineup and see what he can do. But the biggest thing is solidifying our defense a little bit, helping our pitchers out. So yeah, picking him up. We'll gladly pay $11.5 for 2 seasons for this guy to just make plays in the field, and hopefully he hits 270 and gets on base for us. 12 homers last year, so I'm not expecting anything out of him that way, but Citizens Bank Park, you never know. He might pop a few. I'd rather just him get on base and hit for average. But, again, just to solidify the defense, help out Aaron Nola and those guys who throw these ground balls and turn some singles into outs. All right, who else did we cover? We talked about Campo. We talked about everybody in the lineup, I believe. We went through the bench. So, all right, let's move over to pitching. Here you can see I got the screen up with the spring training numbers. This was amazing. The spring training pitching numbers were ridiculous. They were so good. There's no way these numbers are going to keep up. But I sent a pitcher down who pitched 8 innings and he didn't give up a run, and he went to AAA. It's just how it fell out this year. It's Clayton Kershaw pitched well. We're not concerned about numbers with veterans, but if he does that in the regular season, I'll take it. Aaron Nola was outstanding. Aaron Nola has an out of the park 24. I don't think he's ever had a great season for me. So maybe I'm due, but I usually get the 4.3-ish version of Aaron Nola. But, Sixto Sanchez was our biggest addition to the starting rotation. Obviously, he came from Florida. Veteran guy, so we're not going to go crazy about a 4.5 ERA. Spring training, Ranger Suarez is going to come back from the bullpen into the starting rotation. The biggest reason for that is, if we go back to the main menu real quick, you'll see that Emerson Hancock out 10 months. What is this injury? Where'd it go? I just had it on the screen. Ruptured ulnar collateral ligament. I don't know what that is, but it's 10 months. He pitched so well for us last year. Picked him up. He made 13 starts. That whip is 1.19. Was really looking forward to a full season with him. He was back to that guy in 2023 that Seattle had a sub-3 earned run average. But we won't see him this year. So that meant that a spot in the rotation came open. Now we knew we were going to have one. Originally, Ranger was going to be in the bullpen. And then we were going to have Segovia and Brandon Pfaadt. We're going to pitch for a spot. With the injury to Hancock, It changed things up a little bit. So we moved Ranger back in. Also because the relief pitchers pitched so well in spring training. That's another factor in this. But Ranger jumps back in to the starting rotation. We're actually going to have to decide between Segovia and Brandon Pfaadt. And we're actually going to send Segovia down. And the reason I'm going to do this, he's still 24. He still has a little bit of development to do. He pitched very well spring training, but he was never went deep into games. Fifth inning was the deepest he went in. Now, a lot of these games were simmed, and I had the manager set up to have a quicker hook on the rotation because I didn't want Nola to be out there throwing 100 pitches a spring training game. So, but he did pitch well. So I'm going to send him down to AAA, and just with a note that says "Be ready," because there's a chance you're coming right back up. So we might as well do that right now. We'll get him down to AAA, and then that will open this up. We're going to move Nola up to number 1. Kershaw will take the ball the second day. Sixto is going to take the 3rd spot. Ranger will go 4th. Brandon's going to take the 5th spot, and we will change this to a 5-man rotation. And there it is. That's the 5-man rotation for the 2025 season for the Phillies. Split our lefties up there. Sanchez could go to number 2. Kershaw is not, he's not the Kershaw of a few years ago where he was, complete dominance. Obviously, you can look at his numbers. Last year, 4.38. The year before that, we picked them up in 2023, 5.13 earned run average, so not very good. This last year with the Dodgers was a 4.31. So he hasn't been a dominant pitcher, but he's a veteran guy. That if we, use him effectively, look for 5-6 innings out of him, maybe we can, work our way through that. We have a pretty deep bullpen, or we should have a pretty deep bullpen. Nola should be able to throw 7. Sixto, I'm hoping, can go 6-7 on a good day. Rangers probably 5-6. I managed a couple of his starts, like 2 games he started, and I had him go 6 innings in 1 game. He's only got a 40 stamina, but we'll look for 5 or 6 out of him. And that's one of the reasons why Segovia needs to stay ready, because, is this guy going to throw a 2.41 earned run average in the regular season? I don't know. He 3.63 out of the bullpen last year. He pitched pretty effectively. He did have 1 start towards the end of the season where he pitched really well and actually helped threw some innings that helped give some rest to the bullpen right before the playoffs. So it's one of the reasons why we gave him a shot to start, because he came up big on that day for us. But that's our 1 cut. That gets us down to 27. We haven't gone through the bullpen yet. All right, so quick look. Here's Nola. There's where he's at, 53 overall. Still good stuff. I swear he was a ground ball pitcher. I guess he's not. But he's our ace. He's the guy with Zach Wheeler gone. Clayton Kershaw taking the 2nd spot. We love his leadership. Does have the high stamina, so we'll see about that innings thing with him, because it would be nice if he could go a little deeper in games, but not great stuff, not great movement anymore. The control is still really good, and he still throws 3 fastball, slider, curveball, very effective pitches. The changeup is now below average, but we need, if he's in the low 4s, that's a good thing for us. Sixto, like I said, Sixto could probably go up higher in the rotation, but I want to split the lefties up. So stuff is only average, but the movement and the control, love that. Love the fastball, changeup, sinker. Pretty good stamina. He's a ground ball pitcher, So that should work out well with improving the defense. Ranger not rated as well as he would be in real life, but still pretty effective. He's pitched better for me out of the bullpen over the last few seasons, but yeah, this is where the spot was. This is where we need him to go. Ground ball pitcher. We're looking for 5 innings out of him. 5 effective innings. Maybe get into the 6th and then hand it over to a bullpen. That should be effective. 2023, very good. Most of that was out of the bullpen. Last year was split. He went back and forth and higher earned run average. Hoping for better things if we keep him in one spot. And then I think we've already looked at Brandon. Don't love the movement, but the stuff and the control are pretty darn good. And that slider and that changeup should be able to get some people out. Not high stamina, but again, he's our 5th guy. So if he's given us 5 to 6. All right. Added David Bednar. Again, we went through all these trades in a previous video, so I won't go through all of it again. Bednar, he's going to be our closer. Right-hand side of the things. It's going to be him and Alvarado are going to more or less split the closing duties. Alvarado from the left. It's not necessarily a matchup thing. It's kind of, obviously we'll use matchups to try to make them more effective, but it's really going to come down to who's ready to go, and that's who's going to get the ball that day. Alvarado is someone who can go 8th or 9th, so he's sort of the setup closer as well, but he was just outstanding last year. 1.80 earned run average, 3.43 the year before that, 53 games. There you can see 74 strikeouts and 55 innings, whip below 1. So yeah, he was very, very effective last year. Roberto Osuna, probably the biggest injury we had last year. If Osuna had been healthy, I think that sweep against the Nationals doesn't happen. We both those games against the Nationals in the playoffs last year, if you all remember from previous videos, we went into the 7th inning with a lead, and we lost both of them. Osuna's healthy. He's got the 8th covered. Alvarado has the 9th covered. I think that series ends different, but hey, it is what it is. We lost, and Osuna was fragile. Is he still? Yes, he's still considered fragile. So that's the chance you take. But he is very effective when he's in there. What was his numbers last year? Yeah, 2.08. Very, very good. 60 innings. Run down to Kyle Dohe. 1.42 in 6 innings in spring training. Last year, he's just incredible numbers at control. So far, it's worked. It didn't in 2023, but in 2024 it did. He was pitching really well down at Lehigh Valley. Brought him up 47 games, 2.32, 4-1 with 4 saves. So he pitched some meaningful innings, just 26 hits and 54 innings. 25 walks, so he was walking 4 per 9, but he kept the ball in the ballpark. So that was the key to him last year. Plus the whip was under 1 because he had so few hits against him, 71 strikeouts and 54 innings. So 11.8, almost 12 strikeouts per 9. He was very, very effective through the regular season last year, so we're going to bring him back as well. Arias is a guy who been bouncing around. We picked him up in a trade from Seattle in 2023. There you see he spent some time, very effective down at Lehigh Valley. He was effective in 14 games. Yeah, 14 games in 2023 with us after we picked him up. 46 games at AAA last year. He came up because of some injuries at the end of the season, which we just were talking about. In 13 games at 2.87. Did give up 18 hits. Didn't walk a lot of people, though. So the whip at 1.4. kept the ball in the ballpark. Overall effective. Don't love the movement control, but it's got that great fastball slider. Somebody coming in just to get 3 outs, sometimes 1 in a key spot. And that brings us down. Darian Nunez. We got this guy from the Dodgers as a Rule 5, so he's got to stay with the team or we got to send him back. But I just looked at this changeup and this curveball, plus slider, plus fastball, and the stuff. So he's going to miss a ton of bats. Just average movement. Control is below average, but if you look at Dohi and what he was able to do with similar ratings, so this gives us that second lefty that I thought we needed the end of last year. So, like I said, this guy's got to stay on the team because he's a Rule 5 pickup. But that should give us Nunez and Dohi to work and allow Alvarado to continue to work 8th and 9th. So 6, 7, sometime even maybe the 5th. If we need a lefty, we should have one available. Got Kyle Finnegan up next. He was very good last year in the regular season. Really struggled in 2023. We picked him up in 22. I don't remember the details on that one. We did get him from Washington. Did not pitch great the first year we got him, but last year, very effective in the regular season. And then he was just terrible in the playoffs. I think Finnegan he's 33. I think we're sending him down. We'll see how he reacts to that. Right now, morale is very good. I totally expected that he would be on the team going into opening day. But what we're looking at is it would be him or Arias. We got Martinez and Norwood to go through yet. But while we're here, we might as well talk about this part of it. Finnegan has some options, so I should be able to send him down. Arias is out of options. So if I send him down, I got to put him on waivers, and I think I lose him. So I would rather start the season with Arias on the team. If he struggles, then I can send him down and take the chance that he clears waivers. If he's struggling, maybe he's more likely to do that. Finnegan, again, very effective in the regular season, but was just not there at all. Very ineffective in the playoffs. So he is going to be the one to go down. That will be our final cut. We'll send him to AAA. That will get us to Martinez. Martinez, guy I really like. You look at these numbers, the stuff, the movement, the control, the fastball, slider, forkball, and a circle change. 96 to 98 power pitcher. Just a lot to like about this guy. He holds runners. Stamina's at 30. That's not bad for a right-handed reliever. Struggled at times though. 2023 when we picked him up, he really struggled. 8.10 earned run average in 12 games. Just 10 innings, but yeah, not effective. Came back in 2024. Was good through much of the season. If I remember correctly, he faded. So that 4.06 ERA, 64 games, 75 innings, 81 hits. So that's kind of high, but the whip is 1.29. So not terrible. 84 strikeouts, 75 innings, 0.8 homers per 9. And just 1.9 walks per 9, 10 strikeouts per 9. So we're hoping this guy's developing it. We're hoping this is the year that he breaks through because he should be very effective. Somebody who, since we've had him, though, I've noticed for some reason, 6th, 7th inning tends to be effective. Not so effective 8th, 9th. That could be a small sample size, but just something that I felt like I was picking up on. So, we'll keep an eye on that this year, but we're going to stick with Martinez, 2022 Eastern League All-Star. All right, good for you. And let's see, last, not least, pitcher on this team, though, is James Norwood. Now that I've talked about him in a few videos, I feel like maybe the end of this Cinderella story is about to happen. But James Norwood, 31 years old. Look at these numbers over the 3 seasons. Now, 36 overall, and with all the difficult cuts, you would think this is the guy that would go. But the stuff, the fastball, the slider, the splitter, movement and controls are below average. He gets people out. 2022, 4-1, 3.96. So not terrible, but that was a bad bullpen. He was one of the stars of that bullpen. 61 innings, just 49 hits, and he struck out 80 batters in 61 innings. All right, let's go to 2023. He got a little better, 3-3, 1 save, a 3.62 earned run average in 56 games. He even started a game. 57 hits, 67 innings, 85 strikeouts in 64 innings. 2.2 homers per 9 innings, so that did pop up, but 3.62. And 5-2 last year, 3.16 in 59 games, 82 innings. So the workload is coming up on this guy because he's getting results. He's getting people out for me. 65 hits, just 29 earned runs, 11 homers. And so that comes out to 1.2 or 9 innings, 3.9 walks. So his walks per 9 is still a little bit up there, but 12.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. Another great performance for strikeouts for this guy. And 114 strikeouts in 82 innings, all out of the bullpen. He's a longer reliever for me. He pitches very well in that role. When you have these pitchers that aren't going to go deep into games necessarily, and that's more a reflection of the game today, I guess, too. But it's very important to have someone like a Norwood around who can get people out. And for 3 seasons, he's done that, and he's doing it for $1.5 million a year. At some point, this will probably end because there are people knocking on the door down at AAA that want to get into the major leagues, that are ready to go in the major leagues. There's probably like 3 relief pitchers at AAA that probably should be in the majors right now. But yeah, that's it. So Nola, Kershaw, Sanchez, Suarez, and Brandon Pfaadt will be our starting 5, our rotation, and then Bednar, Alvarado will close. Osuna set up, Dohe, Arias, Nunez, Martinez, and then James Norwood will take the long relief. Oh man, we've been talking too much. All right. Promised a quick look around. So the Atlanta Braves, their big additions were Suzuki from Chicago. That is a huge addition for them. Albies and Acuna, Matt Olson, Austin Riley, no big changes there. Spencer Strider, Ian Anderson, Ben Peterson. So they've added Syndergaard. If he's in their 5th spot, that may work out for them. They're going to go with Indigo Diaz, 26-year-old, as a closer right now. I mean, this could change, I guess, when I advance this past spring training. But right now, they're going to go with a young man, a rookie closer. That's what they got set up now. The bullpen otherwise does look pretty good, though. So we'll see how that works out. We'll see if that stays. But the Braves look pretty good. They went 15-10. The Marlins, a game over 500 in spring training. Got some tough bats here in the middle of the lineup, led by Frelick and Jose Ramos, 2 24-year-olds who look pretty good. So don't sleep on these guys this year. De La Cruz at DH. Our old buddy Gene Segura will be playing second for them this year. Alcantara, top of the rotation. Max Meyer. You got Perez, Mize, and Ryan Murphy. You kind of see why they were willing to move Sixto, because that's a pretty decent rotation. A young closer in Fulton. Boy, a lot of lefties right now. We'll see if maybe they haven't made their cuts yet. We'll see how this works out. But Marlins, there's some talent there. We'll see. We'll see if they stick this year. Last year they faded out, but the Nationals, look at this. Garcia at third base. They still have Juan Soto. I told you guys this was from the 2020 23 season. We out of the park 23, excuse me, and so this universe still has Soto in Washington, and he was amazing last year as he normally is. They've added Spencer Torkelson, who was hit 26 homers last year. They added Rafael Devers to first base, 341. Yepes was there last year, 37 home runs in the season. I think he hit 32 against us. Alex Verdugo, they added him. Yeah, so he's an addition, 308. Got Ruiz behind the plate. Brigman, Mondesi rounds that out. Good young starting rotation here. 2 26-year-olds at the top. Steven Strasburg, healthy for the moment. We'll see if he can hang on to that, but he still could be effective at 36. So there's stuff to like in their rotation. The bullpen, another young closer there, 26. And a veteran Gausman. I had Zach Pop offered to me from Miami, excuse me. He ended up with the Nationals. I passed. They wanted prospects that I didn't want to give up. And yeah, so Washington looks loaded in the lineup. We'll see how their pitching holds out. But man, that lineup is loaded. The Mets add Merrifield, who was just crushing us last year. Obviously, they still have Nimmo, Pete Alonso, Beatty with some pop there at the 4th spot. Mauricio. They added Harrison Bader to center field as well. Lindor looks ready to go. Jansen behind the plate. So the Mets add Fu Quan Deng. We're going to go with that pronunciation. 30-year-old Taiwanese pitcher. I looked at this guy and I liked him. I wanted to get him. I have shortlisted him just because I want to see how this guy turns out. Initially, he was looking for $27 million, so I did not seriously go after him because I didn't have $27 million. It eventually dropped, and eventually he was one of the late signings. Ended up going for $15.2 million. Could I have gotten him if I had waited? Maybe, but there's no guarantees on this guy because you see the control is really low. He looks very effective. I love the ground ball power pitcher. Love the personality, stamina there. You see that we have a lot of lower stamina pitchers, so I thought, man, this guy could maybe throw some innings. Didn't tear it up in spring training. That doesn't mean anything. But yeah, a guy that I would have loved to put into our rotation, just financially didn't work out. They have Trevor Bauer going second, Matt Allen, Meagle, Danny Duffy. Looking at their bullpen. They added Chapman. Did they add Jansen? Yes, added Jansen from the Dodgers. Chapman from St. Louis. Chapman's still effective, though. You see the good numbers there. And so, yeah, I mean, the Mets might have something there, too. So then at least I don't think you're sleeping on anybody in the East. It looks like to me like the Nats are probably the biggest. Maybe the Braves and the Nats are probably the biggest competition we've got. So we'll see how that works out. All right. I think we covered everything we wanted to do. The next time you hear from me, it'll be for opening day. We'll get these Phillies kicking off the season. Who are we opening against? I don't even know. Seattle. We're opening at Seattle? Are you kidding? Who made this schedule? All right. We open at Seattle, then we go to the Yankees. Then we're home on the 10th for the home opener. Hopefully we're 6-0 at that point. We'll see. We'll come home, we'll play the Cardinals, and then we get Atlanta. That'll be good. Good early season series against the Braves, and we'll get things going. But, yes, next time you hear from me, we'll be in Seattle. We'll be getting the go. It'll be Aaron Nola pitching for the Phillies. Not sure who Seattle will have on the mound, but we'll get you up to date on that. And, yeah, thanks for tuning in. This has been Judge Metal TV, Out of the Park Baseball 24, Phillies 2025 season. We're calling this second season all in because we're going to throw them in here see what we got. We're going to take a chance. We got this window that we identified before that we think is 1 to 2 years, and see what we got this year. If it doesn't work out this year, then maybe we turn this into a giant rebuild and we start bringing up some of these young prospects that didn't make the cut in this spring training. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you listening. Have a good night.